Hi, everyone. I just wanted to jump on here and share with you three of my key learnings coming out of the first 90 days of launching my podcast, The Leader Within. The reason why I wanted to share with you is because this time around, the experience has been completely different than when I first ran my other podcast series called The ABCs to Becoming Highly Sought After back in 2021. So not only this time I've gained a little bit more traction, but also I have learned so much from like a marketing and engagement perspective that I really hope that it will help you, especially if you decide to launch your own podcast. And I think the first thing is really figuring out, okay, what is it that you're trying to learn? What problem are you solving? And who are you ultimately trying to help? Because I realize that as you engage with guests or as you determine like what kind of solo content you want to create, having those questions in mind, I think really helps with planning your content schedule. And then number two, the marketing and the promotion piece. So this time around, I was able to afford a personal branding coach, and she really helped me understand, okay, like, do you want this to turn into another expensive hobby, or is this something that you have a bigger vision for? And the biggest thing for that is understanding, okay, what are the keywords, SEO, so search engine optimization, etc., that will help others discover you? Because having people find you is actually really difficult. But remember, when it comes to YouTube and Spotify, etc., there are algorithms that say, hey, viewers like you or listeners like you also listen to blank. So you have to figure out what that blank is that ties back to what you're ultimately trying to achieve. And then number three, you need a sustainable workflow, especially if you're a one-person show. So I do the process from end to end, from curating guests to editing to scheduling and all the other stuff. And by no means am I perfect, but I've discovered a lot of tools that have helped me. So it is a little bit less stressful. And you know what? It's a combination of paid and unpaid tools because your girl's working with a budget here. So here are the 11 tools that I use to help me manage my workflow from end to end from a podcast production perspective. So tool number one, AI related tools such as ChatGPT or Pi.AI. The reason why these are so important to me is because if I ever run into a writer's block or if I am trying to go through a brainstorming session, I find that these tools are super helpful from a content curation perspective. And then number two is Notion. So Notion is really important for me in terms of the Kanban view or like the Trello table style view where I can kind of click and drag and drop where my guests are at each point of the pipeline. Similar to a sales pipeline, with a podcasting pipeline, you have to consider, okay, do I have enough guests coming down the pipeline? Do I have enough interviews booked? Do I have enough in the editing phase, publishing phase, whatever it may be? And then it allows you to project, okay, so if I know I want to be a month ahead, what do I need to do? How many more guests do I need and stuff like that? So that's really key. And then on top of that, I actually will use it at time to track keywords or tags, so then I don't have to kind of redo it each time. But I also leverage like products like Microsoft Word and Excel to track some of these things as well. Even though technically you could do it all within Notion, it's just I love my Microsoft products, you know. And then the other tool that I use is Google Forms, right? Anytime I need to be able to get a guest to prep their bio, their links, their headshots for graphic purposes, their zone of genius, etc., I get them to fill out a form before they even meet with me so that I can better prepare. And so I have everything I need by the time I get to the editing phase and I'm not waiting back and forth for them to get me what I need, right? And then schedulers. I'm sure you all heard of Calendly, and I recently discovered TidyCal. And I actually switched over from Calendly to TidyCal because they had a promotion going on through AppSumo where it was like $29 USD for a lifetime subscription. And yeah, Calendly had a free feature, but the thing is that I could only schedule one type of event with my guests. But then I'm like, well, sometimes my guests want to have a meet and greet prior to booking a video podcast with me. So I'm like, I would love to pay 29 USD for a lifetime if it means I can either have guests use the video podcasting link to book something or the 15-minute meet and greet link, right? And then it also sends out reminders to guests. And then from like a workflow perspective, like if they get that reminder, it alleviates some of the pressure on me to be like, hey, like, remember we're meeting tomorrow or we're meeting in an hour kind of thing, right? So I'm not sure if they still have the promotion, but it's worth checking out TidyCal as well. And I'll include all the information in the description below. And then Riverside FM. I decided to use this to record my video podcast because I love that you can record locally and then to the cloud. So then the quality of your video is not impacted. And Riverside has come up with so many helpful AI related tools within that platform that allow you to edit, create captions, transcripts, show notes. It like splices some of your content up for you based on like what it thinks would perform well. So there's just so many features there. And then Descript, right? You can edit it via text, your podcast. So then if you're very intimidated by using Final Cut Pro like I do currently, or other editing tools, at least you have that as an option. And then that brings me to Final Cut Pro. So because I have a video podcast, I like to use this tool because it allows me to switch between different views, whether it's a speaker view or interviewer style view. I think that just like maintains attention a little bit more. And you can't do that within the Riverside platform right now. And that's why I choose to use Final Cut Pro. And for me, like it was worth paying a lifetime subscription because outside of my video podcast, I also love storytelling through mobile videography for my jiu-jitsu gym and for other MMA gyms that I've visited as well. And then if you ever need royalty-free music, of course, YouTube has its own library, but I like to use Pixabay because I just find that there was just some tunes that I couldn't really find in the YouTube library. And it was also really user-friendly. So I decided to go with that option. Canva, so anything graphics related, I decided to use that. And I recently discovered, thank you to my friend Cynthia, who showed me that there is a scheduler feature that you can use within Canva Pro or Canva Premium if you have that subscription as well, right? So if you're not able to afford like a social media tool that kind of disperses your content across multiple platforms that you're on, at least you have the option of using Canva if you have the premium/pro subscription. And then last but not least, I use podcasters to distribute my audio podcast only because I've used it in the past. I loved it and it's owned by Spotify. So it's credible and it's reliable for me. And of course, there are so many other options for tools that are probably free and or a cheaper subscription. So if you have used any of those tools and you're like, hey, I want to share it with the world because I love it and whatever, maybe like please add it in the comments below because I'm sure those who are looking to start a podcast and or just swap out some tools on their end as existing podcasters would really appreciate your feedback. So anyways, if you have any tips or key learnings that have helped you grow your podcast, like please drop it in the comments below or DM me. I'm sure a lot of other people will benefit from it as well. So to everyone that's tuned in, thank you so much for your time and attention. I appreciate you and I can't wait to stay in touch with you on my future episodes.